Jurors in the Antonio Cochran murder trial are still deliberating, and it is a closely watched case. They have spent about 5 hours talking over the evidence today alone. Cochran is charged in the death of 18-year-old Zoe Hastings. She disappeared back in 2015. She had been simply running an errand on her way to church. Robbie Owens, live for us, been in on all of this. She's over at the Crowley Courthouse for us. Robbie, of course, only the jury knows which evidence has had the most impact so far, but you've been there since the beginning. Talk to us, I guess, about what stands out to you based on what you can see and hear in the courtroom.
Well, Doug, it is difficult to boil down some 25 hours of testimony to a couple of minutes, but I will tell you more about what they focused on today. But I should also add that the jury has wrapped up their work for today. They'll start again tomorrow morning, and they have had a lot to consider. Prosecutor Justin Lord, for example, he really hammered home on the emotional aspects of this case, saying that this has been a nightmare for the family, and he asked the jury to use common sense, telling them, quote, the only time that Antonio Cochran's phone is ever hitting the tower by the Walgreens is on the date and time that Zoe is kidnapped and killed. Prosecutors also honed in on the defendant's DNA recovered from the handle of the murder weapon. Defense attorney Paul Johnson conceded that his client's DNA was on the handle of that knife, but he insisted that Cochran could have handled the knife when he was working at a local movie theater. He also stressed that none of Cochran's fingerprints were recovered from the van and that there was no other physical evidence to tie him to the violent, bloody scene. Now, that's significant because two witnesses told the jury that they saw a man argue with Hastings and drive away, but they did not identify Cochran. Jurors heard from Johnson today telling them, quote, I know this case is going to stay with you for a long time. The popular thing to do today would be to go back there and convict. I'm going to ask you to do the thing you told me you would do. Make the hard decision. As I mentioned, Doug, jurors today in their deliberations sent out 3 questions. One was about a defense exhibit, a picture of the Walgreens where Hastings disappeared. A second was about mitochondrial DNA, and yet a third question this afternoon was about the time frame of police interviews with those 2 witnesses that testified about just what they saw. As I mentioned, the defense has made a key issue of one of those witness testimonies in saying that he could not possibly have seen or heard what he told jurors he heard. They'll be back here again to resume deliberations tomorrow morning at 9. Live at the Frank Crowley Courthouse in Dallas, Robbie Owens, CBS 11 News.